YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Apple just came out with their Apple 16 event that they have annually where they show you the new upgrades to the phone. And of course, they do this so subtly that people out there don't realize what transition is taking place right now. It's like we're living in an episode of the Black Mirror, just maybe 10 times worse, because while Black Mirror focused a lot on how dependent people were on technology, what we're seeing is the transition between technology and human beings becoming one. And I'm going to play for you a small clip from this event that they had where they're talking about Apple Intelligence. And I covered Apple Intel a few months ago. Of course, like most content that comes from this producer, it was removed, but I will still cover it again for you in case you missed it. So Apple Intel on the phone. Before I play for you the clip, of course, here's this guy talking all about this Apple employee talking about all about the benefits of it. Of course, he's doing the triangle power with his hand. This is a very common symbol that we see the elites do. Most people see this symbol and they think it's just a normal way for them or for people to present their hands while they're speaking. We've seen Donald Trump do it. We see a lot of people do it, right? We see most people who are in prominent positions of power get away with showing you who their allegiance is to by doing this symbol, because we've gotten to a point where things like this are just looked at and passed over, where people go, well, that's just a normal way for somebody sitting to hold their hands. Maybe because they've done it themselves and not even realized it, but trust me, these people in power know exactly what they're doing. So he holds his hand like that many times in the video, but I have to get into this. Apple Intelligence, okay? This is the logo for Apple Intelligence. And if you're not familiar, it is a heptagram. Heptagram, okay? And this symbol is associated with Aleister Crowley and Thelema. It is known as the symbol for Babylon. So no surprise that they would use this as the symbol, of course, for Apple Intelligence. And the seven-pointed star spiritually represents a bridge of a realm between worlds. And is that not what we're seeing going on? We keep getting told that all of this stuff with technology is just that, technology. Nobody looks at the spiritual end of this. Nobody thinks to themselves, what is even in my hand? And how is this thing mimicking my voice? How is this thing recommending things to me? In fact, when I play for you this clip that they aired, you're going to say to yourself, wow. I mean, they're literally talking to you saying that your iPhone is the most personal product in your life. It's part of so many things that make you, you. And if you're not paying attention to how they're subtly doing this, they are literally talking about what their end game is here, the mixing of man and machine, or as I believe the Bible references, as the mixing of iron and clay. Look at some of the stuff that, again, people out there will see that and they'll think that it's no big deal. You could take a picture of a restaurant, then suddenly on your phone, the restaurant's menu comes up. You could take a picture of somebody's dog and suddenly get all the information about what kind of breed that dog is. You could take a picture of someone's bicycle randomly, and stores will open up on your phone. We are literally handing over our freedoms to technology. All, of course, thinking that this has to do with convenience. But what we're seeing, the pattern that we're seeing, is that people need technology to answer the most basic questions in their day-to-day lives and aren't even realizing that it isn't about us accepting technology. It's about technology overtaking our lives. Look at this frightening clip that Apple aired, and keep in mind that your most personal item that you have in your life is your phone. And that really has become the truth in this world. That most people, like I've said, if they lose their phone, they go haywire. Most people, if they lose their phone and it's completely gone and they can't find it, will go buy another phone that same day because they can't even go 24 hours without a phone in their lives. The phone is doing the thinking for them, and they are getting closer and closer to brainwashing people into mixing their DNA with that of machine. Look.
Your iPhone is the most personal product in your life. It's part of so many things that make you, you. To deliver intelligence that understands you. Suppose you've got a photo in mind that you took ages ago. Just describe it, and Apple Intelligence will find it for you. Your iPhone is with you everywhere you go. Instantly learn about everything you see. Suppose you stumble upon a restaurant you haven't been to before. With just a click, your iPhone instantly pulls up restaurant hours, and say you come across a flyer for an interesting event. Just click. What kind of dog is that? Now you know. Just tap to search Google for where you can buy something similar. And if you're stuck on a particular concept, just use the camera control to ask ChatGPT for guidance. Siri will follow along if you stumble over your words. You'll always have the option to type to Siri when you want to make your request a little more discreetly. Your iPhone is the most personal product in your life. It's part of so many things that make you, you.
So again, most people would see that, and every year what they do is they just release a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And that's how they transition people into accepting this type of technology. Oh, what's new on the iPhone this year? There's got to be something new, right? Well, what's new on the phone this year is that you can take a picture of someone's dog and you'll get a whole bio on what that dog is. You can take a picture of someone's car and you can find out what car it is, and then you could buy that car. And people just keep going, oh yeah, that's convenient, that's convenient. They don't even realize that they're not processing thought on their own anymore. They're letting technology do it for them. All of this stuff with Siri, I mean, how creepy is that? You could text a personal message to Siri. Is anybody alarmed? Does anybody know what they're even speaking to? What entity is on the other end of the phone? I mean, their brain doesn't go that far. They just think to themselves, it's just an app. It's just artificial intelligence. And they don't realize what artificial intelligence really is and what this technology is leading towards. And when we used to talk about this about 10 years ago, when we talked about man and machine becoming one, when transhumanism was more of a fringe topic, most people out there said, not in a million years. There's no way that people will be on board. There's no way that people would be okay taking this stuff inside of their body. There's no way that people would be okay with having a computer interface in their brain. No, I think now we're seeing more than ever that, in fact, the other holds more true. The opposite of that holds more truth. That more people can't live without the technology. And if they're presented a situation where they have to either go away from technology forever or potentially have technology inside their bodies, they will take the technology inside their bodies, because all it'll take is a little propaganda. All it'll take is some celebrities coming out, showing you the benefits of how easy it is to shop now, how they can go in and out of stores. They don't have to wait in line anymore. They could go through TSA at the airport. There's no security anymore because it's all embedded in you. So everything can be tracked and traced. It's all just an easy transition. And that's all that it will take. They could sit there now and they could say, oh, there's no way I would ever do that, right? But we're seeing more and more how compliant people are becoming, especially in the name of convenience. 30 years ago, there's no way that people would have had Alexas inside their home. And there's 0% chance that people would have been okay with smart technology. People would have said, wait a minute, what? And they say, oh yeah, you could control your locks, you could control your air conditioner. The first thing people would say is, well, who's on the other end of that? Could somebody actually manually turn it off? Well, just some tech companies on the other end. They wouldn't have been okay with that. And now we're giving all of this up in the name of convenience and technology. And don't forget, the transition that they're making right now with things like the Neuralink is they're showing you people who are paraplegic, people who lost a limb in the war, people who have Parkinson's or some type of disorder that any normal person would look at and feel sympathy for the person. They'd say, well, that's awful. This person lost the ability to talk. This person has a family of 5 and then they suddenly got dementia at 40. But instead of asking the real question, which is why are so many people getting so sick? How is this happening? Instead, people are just running to the solution. And of course, the solution happens to be mixing human beings with machine. That technology is the advancement. Meanwhile, we could all look around and say, why did none of these diseases exist 100 years ago? Especially if we're supposedly so far ahead with technology. We're so advanced, right? We got it so, man, we're so smart. We're so much smarter than other generations. We got all this technology at our fingertips. Oh yeah? Then why is everybody so sick? Why don't we talk about things like mental health? These weren't things that existed 50 years ago. Why are we talking about how every other person on earth has cancer? Well, because nobody's realizing it, that the government themselves, they're the ones who are giving it to you. They're the ones who are dumping aluminum and barium on you every single day from the sky. You'd be very hard pressed to find 1 or 2 days in a row where you actually see blue skies for the entire day. Because look, there might be some days where you have blue sky, but guess what? They're getting you in the night then, right? How about the ingredients on the side of our food labels? Anything processed, right? We can't trust any of these things anymore, but people are so busy working, they're so busy being distracted that they think to themselves, well, I'm going to the grocery store, I'm getting Cheerios. It's a trusted brand. They couldn't pronounce one thing other than oats, which aren't even real, I don't believe, in the Cheerios, on the side of the box. And then you say to yourself, do these sound like things you want to be ingesting? And now you wonder why people are so sick, why people have so much mental trauma, anxiety, depression, right? Because they're the ones doing it, but nobody's paying attention to that. So we look at technology and we say, wow, we're so advanced, we're really coming along, right? And meanwhile, that's been the end game all along, is to get technology inside of your body. And people out there still think it's crazy. They still do. But they won't even realize it the day that they roll this out. You know, Apple, the ones who sold their very first computer for $666.66, right? Don't be suspicious of that, right? You know, don't be suspicious of what the apple represents, which it's supposed to represent biting of the forbidden fruit. That's what their logo is. Would any of you be surprised if Apple, version 17 or 18 was talking about the technology being in your body, and then these same people who say we're all crazy, they'll still say we're crazy. They'll say, well, it's not what you're saying it is. It's what Apple's saying it is. It's a good thing. Didn't you hear all those news stories about how this technology is helping people live longer and age less? I mean, we're all a bunch of narcissists, right? So isn't that what we all want anyway? Because that's the majority of these people. They're getting conditioned every single day with anti-aging. We have people who get Botox every month. They don't even look human. Then nobody's even told them that they don't look human. And even if you do tell them, they don't believe it. They think you're a hater because the narcissism is so deep, right? That's all it's going to take. So, like I mentioned earlier in the video, this is the newest thing, Apple Intelligence, okay? The logo is not a coincidence. They chose the heptagram. It is the symbol for Babylon in Aleister Crowley's Thelema. They did not choose it at random. And the fact that the 7-pointed star spiritually is interpreted as a bridge of a realm between worlds. Then you start thinking to yourself, a realm between worlds, right? A realm between worlds. Well, nobody can explain to any of us with a straight face or a serious answer what exactly artificial intelligence is. We're too dumb to get it, is pretty much what they tell us. But when you listen to some of the stuff that's on my website, which I would post again here, but every time I post it, it gets a strike. It gets a copyright takedown from Gordy Rose, where Gordy Rose, which you can look up for yourself if you're on YouTube and you're still listening, Gordy Rose explains what quantum computing is, what these entities are that they summon into chips. He literally calls them little demonic entities that are summoned. He talks about how they want to eradicate the human race. You would never hear that because nobody would ever look up who Gordy Rose is because he's not interesting enough, right? But Gordy Rose is a big tech player in Silicon Valley. He's somebody who's heavily involved in quantum computing, and he wasn't hiding what he was saying this is. You don't ever get a real explanation. They just go, well, that's technology. It's too hard for you to get. It's evolving this way. It's evolving that way. It's becoming smarter. It's becoming more intelligent. It's just a programmer who's just typing a bunch of things into a computer that you wouldn't understand, right? And that's all we're supposed to think. But then when you start connecting the dots, you look at things like bridge of a realm between worlds. when you see logos like that, where we know that the symbol for Babylon that Aleister Crowley used, the heptagram, is the same exact logo that they're using for Apple Intel. And what is Aleister Crowley known for? Well, he's known for performing satanic rituals that invoked spirits like Lam, right? But then we have to ask ourselves as Christians, why is it that so many Christians have a tough time believing in the spiritual realm? Why is it that they don't believe in demonic entities, but they believe in aliens? Oh, because they've been programmed. Why is it that preachers aren't talking about literally demonic entities and the connection with that in artificial intelligence? Because most preachers are too busy telling you to download their church's app so that you can get updates on the church and what they're doing during the week and when they have their next cupcake sale, right? That's what they're too busy doing, instead of actually warning people about the dangers of technology and how literally we're watching the spiritual realm, which they're actually talking about in regards to artificial intelligence. They mention that realm, the digital and the physical, right? They're using the word digital as a code word for spiritual realm. And we are headed towards a frightening time to be alive, because the more people accept this, the less pushback there is, the quicker they're going to come out with this stuff, and the quicker people are going to accept it. And there's going to be a massive, massive false flag event. Whether it's some type of cyber hacking, there's going to be something where people have to go without technology for a short period, and they are going to beg for their phones to be. Just think about anybody in your life you always see on your phone. You know, anytime I go out, which isn't very often, but anytime I'm out, I just watch people. That's all I do. And every person, no matter where I am, there could be a family sitting at a doctor's office. There could be a family in the grocery store. They're all on their phones. Even somebody grocery shopping, they're always on it. They can't live without it. So if you unplug them from it, even for a short period of time, we all would love to think that, hey, you know, if they turn the grid off and they shut stuff off, maybe people will start living like the way they're supposed to live. They'll start farming again. There's going to be unhinged people like we've never seen before. And when the government turns everything back on, if they say, look, you can't have a phone anymore in your hand because it proves too easy to be hacked. But guess what? We could get technology inside your body. And most of you would say, well, wait a minute. They're talking about hacking phones and cyber attacks. So how in the world are they going to convince people to put it inside their bodies? Well, you think that's going to be difficult? They just convinced people to go and take a magic potion that wouldn't make them immune to a virus, which is what the definition of a magic potion is. In fact, they convinced those people to turn on their fellow man, so much so that they were hoping that people would lose their jobs, that anybody out there that spoke against it would lose a platform to speak on, that the government would even come to their front door and warn them if they were saying the dangers of it. That's how easy it is to convince people. So it will not be very hard for them if people out there suddenly are living without tech and they realize that they can't answer the basic question. They don't even know that they can't drink ocean water, right? They probably think, oh, well, I'm thirsty. Let's go down to the beach and drink it, right? Next thing you know, they die from dehydration. What happened? I don't know. It in my phone. I didn't know you couldn't drink ocean water. You didn't know you couldn't drink ocean water? That you had to distill? I mean, are you serious? You can't drink the salt water? It would dehydrate you? No, I didn't know. They won't be able to survive without it. So the closer we're getting to this technology being announced with no pushback, the closer we're getting to a major event occurring that's going to force people into getting the technology under their skin. And there's one thing, like he said in that clip, it is the most important thing in people's lives, right? It's what makes you you. The most important thing in your life, your phone. And we can all look at that and say, well, that's crazy. Oh, yeah? I've seen people lose their minds if they lose their phone for 15 minutes. Massive search parties are called. You'd think these people would call the FBI, all right? I can't find my phone. They're looking around. They're flipping cushions, going so fast. You've never seen them act so quickly. Oh, my God, they're over here. They're running around, frantic. And then the next thing in their mind is, I better go to the store and get a new phone if I don't find it. Can you call my phone? Can you do this? They go on and on and on. They short circuit without it. They don't even realize how dependent they are on it. So this is the new Apple iPhone. Again, it's important to note the connection between the logo being used with Apple Intel. I mean, we can sit here and we can look at all the stuff I've covered with Apple, right? From the 666, like I mentioned, to the fruit itself, the forbidden fruit, which is what the apple represents. And now look where we're headed. We have Apple Intel. They're using the heptagram as a logo. Some people out there would see that and they'd say, no, it's not the same thing. Oh, of course it's the same thing. That's how they operate. They reveal themselves constantly. What? Because the corners are turned? It's still 7 points. It's exactly what it is. And it ties into Aleister Crowley. And it ties exactly in to the symbol for Babylon. Because maybe, just maybe, we're living in Babylon right now. Mystery Babylon. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.